All right, for the reviews, I wanted to try and do something different because I find that I myself don't really watch review videos of just singular books. So instead of doing just one book, a 10-minute long video, I'm going to do 2 weeks worth of reviews very shortly and try and zip through them, and I think it'll be more enjoyable for people to watch. All right, first up is this 1989 horror book, Stallion, Gordon Mcgill. Gordon Mcgill wrote mostly horror books and movie novelizations, including the Spies Like Us, which I absolutely love that movie. I don't own the novelization, but after reading this, I'm kind of like torn between whether I want to get it or stay away from it, because Stallion was a real stinker here. Well, first off, let's go the cover art. The cover art is done by Kirk Reinhardt. And if you Google him, he has like a bunch of horse paintings, but he also did lots of other paperback covers. So the basic story here, the basic premise is you got this Manhattan family who moves to rural UK to open up a horse riding farm, training center, whatever. It's got the mom who's like having a nervous breakdown. It's got the dad who's an alcoholic, of course. Teenage daughter who it's her birthday, so she's like coming of age. It's kind of gross. And like the innocent little boy, like 8-year-old side character who's always scared and needs his mommy. There's an ancient ritual that has to do with killing a horse, and then it has these like sexual overtones to it, and it somehow is connected to this family. There's a small part in this where it's the girl's birthday. She's 13. She's the daughter from the wife's previous marriage. So that's her stepdad. And then the little brother is the mom and dad's. It's her birthday, and like some gypsies show up and they give her this horse dildo for her birthday and tell her that she's special, whatever. And then as it goes on, there's like this giant horse that lives next door, and this creepy old guy who owns it, who breeds horses with this giant horse. It's not supernatural. It's just a big old horse. And the girl has this connection with the horse and like gets out there and rides it in the middle of the night naked. But really it's all about this mom going kind of crazy and the daughter being all sexual with like the stepdad. It's like insinuated because of course it's the 80s, so you got to have incest horror. And it's mostly the mom just going nuts, and it's really tedious and boring. I mean, to be honest, I even have a hard time figuring out what this book was about. It was just so pointless, and like the horse stuff and the family and the ancient ritual, it just didn't really tie together. It just never went anywhere. It was extremely disappointing. And I don't know, it's more like a suspense novel, I think, than anything that would be called horror. Just like this dysfunctional family, and they just slap the horror stuff in at the end. Yeah, it was a disappointment. The best part about it is definitely the cover. You know, it's worth owning for the cover. But other than that, yeah, it's a hard pass. All right, up next I got this 1961 Angel Eyes, Steve Bentley thriller, Robert Dietrich, a.k.a. E. Howard Hunt. This is a hard-boiled private detective type story, but he's not a private detective. He's actually a CPA, like he does taxes, which is like the strangest lead character in a investigation type series, because how often is this guy bumping into murders and has to solve them? Like, he has no reason, even if he like randomly stumbled into murders like all the time, you wouldn't have to solve it. It would just be like, oh man, that sucks. We'll go home and watch TV. But he does. He solves the murder. Has a relationship with the police, with the local mafia, the hoods, the politicians. So this is centered in, so this takes place in Washington, D.C. It was written in 1961, so this is 50s Washington, D.C., before E. Howard Hunt did the whole Watergate scandal thing. So this guy is, when he's writing this, he knows about these people. He knows like the Washington inside, how these senators and stuff act, and just that whole world. And that part was very cool, because you're like, man, this is probably like right on the money. This guy knows, he's at the heart of it. So in this story, the basic premise is that Steve Bentley, CPA, comes home from work. There's a hot woman across the hall. The door's open. She just moved in. She's wasted. She got stood up. She invites him over to have a drink. He has a drink. They're about to hook up, and then she passes out. He goes home. She turns up murdered the next day. He takes it upon himself to solve the mystery. So if you watched my best of 2023, all the way to the end, you would have seen that the Calypso Caper by Robert Dietrich, another Steve Bentley thriller, was number one. It was my favorite of last year. I just find the writing to be really accessible. It's not twisted. The plot lines aren't all twisted up. It's not simplistic either, but a lot of these like 40s, 50s private detective stuff, it loses me, because they like solve the mystery, they solve the whatever conspiracy, and then there's more going on afterwards, and then this is tied to that, and it all just, it's like a big, mess of, last year's Christmas lights. But his Robert Dietrich, E. Howard Hunt isn't like that. It's pretty straightforward, but it's not like a classic mystery. He like bridges the gap between classic mystery and the hard-boiled noir mystery. And once again, this book is great. I think I enjoyed the Calypso Caper better because I like the Caribbean setting, where the Washington, D.C., I hate politics, I hate politicians. So it's not really that appealing to me, but it was still excellent, and yeah, good stuff. Probably, I don't think it's going to get number one this year, but I'm definitely not disappointed, and I definitely would read all of them, all of the Steve Bentley series. I would hunt down and read them all. So yeah, thumbs up for that one. Up next, we got The Seth Papers by Frank Lauria. This is the 6th and final of the 70s series of Dr. Owen Orient, Psychic Detective. There was 6 in the 70s, and then they brought it back one time in 1991. This is the first one that I've ever read, so I don't know how it compares to the others. So the basic plot here is there's an archaeological dig, and they're searching for the hand of Seth, which is this mummified hand that has mystical powers that can tell the future. There is a secret society of like a black magic cult of like these rich and powerful people, rich and famous powerful people who want to use it to take over the world, I guess, but initially like the Vatican, because they're in Rome. The story actually starts in Tangiers, Morocco. Dr. Owen Orient is just sitting in a bar, hanging around, drinking beers. I don't know what he's doing there. And one of the people from the archaeological dig is this woman, and she comes over to him and she wants to hire him as like a translator because she heard him talking to the locals. So he's like, you know, I don't know why you want to hire me, but okay, because she's super hot. He joins the dig. They find the hand of Seth. There's like an attempt to kidnap her, and Dr. Owen Orient saves her, and it turns out that there's this big conspiracy, and he's a part of it, and he's been played, and now he has to keep the hand of Seth out of the hands of this black magic cult because he's like good magic. He's like, he uses his yoga psychic powers for good. The first part of this is written like a journal, like he's writing a journal entries. And it sounds boring, but it's actually, it's legit. It's not like you're reading someone's diary. It's like a story. Halfway through the book, it switches narrative to somebody, there's like a CIA agent who's been following Dr. Owen Orient. I like just saying the whole name. Who's been following him, and she's sending in field reports to her CIA government agency, secret government agency that wants to like get him and his psychic powers to fight for the US. So in the middle, yeah, it switches, and it's all from her perspective now. And she kind of becomes like the main character. And he's just kind of on the back burner, hanging out at her apartment while she like takes over this investigation of this mummified hand. And like, you know, gets in good with the Roman secret society. And there's like orgies and shit. There's like in-depth, not like pornographic, but it almost goes there, where she has to like fuck everyone in this secret society. She's like on drugs, and then like he comes back and for the finale and whatever. All I know is this thing was so great. It was so much fun. It was like everything that I love, like the occult, Egypt, Europe, non-US locations, exotic locations. It was dirty. It was sleazy. It was like a mystery kind of. It was also kind of spyish with the CIA stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hunting down the rest of them and reading them. What really drew me to it, of course, is this cover. We got the mummy. I think it looks kind of Aztec more than Egypt, but that going on. You got the guy with his feathered hair, like a 70s feathered hair. Got up early that morning and did his hair. Yeah, it's a great cover. It didn't say who it was, but I'm pretty sure that it's Joe Lombardero. Joe Lombardero. It just has a little JL in there, and I looked at other Joe Lombardos, and it kind of looks like his artwork. So I think that's who did the artwork. But yeah, absolutely love this one. This is definitely going to be in my top 10 for the year. I already know already. And yeah, so super good. And last up is this 1958 None of Maigrets Business, George Simenon. Big Maigret fan. This is like a classic murder mystery. If you don't know, Maigret is a chief inspector in France, Paris, and solves mysteries, Sherlock Holmes-ish type stuff. I definitely enjoy this better than Sherlock Holmes, which I don't even really like Sherlock Holmes at all. So there's always a lot of atmosphere in a Maigret book, and I like his attitude. It's very relaxed. But then he does get tough when he has to get tough, and it's very like he's more of a cop than Sherlock Holmes, who's like eccentric, arty musician guy. Jules Maigret is very down to earth, drinking beers, but not getting wasted, and he's very non-judgmental, and he just kind of sees through people's bullshit really well. And so yeah, so in this one he's on vacation, but he doesn't leave Paris. He's just, him and his wife are hanging around, and him and his wife, the parts with him and his wife are always very adorable and very loving, and for some reason, I don't know, it's just very comforting. To not see a relationship that's just bickering, because you see lots of bickering in books, and this is just an old married couple that just gets along well, and it's nice. So he's on vacation, and there's a murder, and he wants to take part in it, but his wife's like, honey, you're on vacation. And he's like, oh, yes, I'm on vacation. So he just kind of like reads the paper and mentally solves the case through these articles in the paper. And it was definitely different. I didn't like it as much as the other Maigret books that I've read. I like him interviewing the people and interviewing the suspects and solving the crime that way, in more police procedural way. But this was interesting that they did it, that George Simenon wrote it in this way, and it was an interesting aspect to take him out of the direct investigation and make him more of a spectator like we would be while we're reading the other stories. So that was cool. It was different. But as far as the other stories that I've read, I enjoyed those more. But it doesn't mean that this is bad. I just like the other ones better. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment. That would be awesome. And like and subscribe and all that.